So another thing that I talk about very often is going to be implications for why do we do hormone replacement in women? Why is it, first of all, is it appropriate? Second of all, why would we other than for symptom management? And that's not to suggest that symptom management isn't a huge portion of that, because it is. It's incredibly important to manage symptoms. There's a lot of life that comes after menopause at this point, and you should feel good still during those years. Something that's important to think about is what we know about menopause in the grand scheme of human history, which is relatively new. It was only a few hundred years ago that women died before we got to menopause. It really wasn't that long ago. I think the average lifespan in the early 1900s, maybe hit 60 for the first time. And, average age of menopause, side note, is around 50. So, thank you, modern medicine. We now live into menopause, but we have started to uncover these health side effects that come along with the lack of hormones that happen during menopause. And for women, the obvious of those, or maybe the things that we are most familiar with, are osteoporosis, so a loss of bone density, an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Actually, prior to menopause, women have, generally speaking, very low levels of cardiovascular disease. And once we go through menopause, that level goes up substantially. Anyway, so bone density loss, cardiovascular disease risk, and then just cognition in general. And all of those things are actually related to our loss of estrogen. So estrogen has a very clear role to play in bone density. And, when we died at 50 or 49, maybe that wasn't as big of a deal, but now we know. I think even those of us that aren't very familiar with medicine all know that osteoporosis is a disease of older women specifically, and it's estrogen that does that. But heart disease risk, mood changes, brain fog, the lack of estrogen not only damages the heart or damages the bones, but it also leads to slower synaptic function in the brain, which is quite literally brain fog. Brain just doesn't fire as quickly as it did before. And those are all things that are incredibly important to treat. We know better now, and so we can do better now. We don't have to leave you to suffer with your symptoms and increased chance of disease just because we're menopausal.